Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers lose to the Winnipeg Jets by a final score of 6-3. They lose to the NHL-best Winnipeg Jets. They're now 15-1, and the Rangers drop to 9-4-1. And it's not as if the Rangers really played all that bad in this game, but it's the same individual players that continue to make major mistakes that lead to goals against. And we're going to talk about a few different players, but the one that I need to talk about right out of the gate is Mika Zibanejad. It gets worse and worse and worse. He was directly responsible for 3 of the 5 goals. I'm not going to include the empty net goal, which, if we're going to be honest, he probably caused that one too. But again, that's not going to go there. But goals 1, 3, and 4. He turns the puck over, which leads to Winnipeg scoring. Just blatantly bad mistakes as far as not getting the puck out of the zone, neutral zone giveaway, and it's just really, really bad. And then, to make matters worse, Alexis Lafreniere scores a power play goal, and what happens on this power play goal? It actually happens to be with the first unit. Mika Zibanejad leaves the ice. Lafreniere replaces him. All the other 4 regulars stay on, and Lafreniere is able to snipe a goal. So, just to add a little bit of something extra to it as well, there's that. So he just looks absolutely awful. And at this point, you can't have him playing with Panarin and Lafreniere. He's bringing them down as well. So at this point, you kind of have to go back to Kreider and Riley Smith with Zibanejad at this point, the way I see it. And just hope that somehow that line, because Kreider and Smith are a little bit more defensively inclined than Panarin and Lafreniere, and you just hope that line, okay, it's not going to score many goals, and you hope that they don't allow much, and go back to Trocheck centering Panarin and Lafreniere. And the reason why I say that is because that Hedl line with Cooley and Kakko has been so good. You don't want to break them up. They've been so good. They now, as a unit, 5-on-5, 11 goals for, 0 against, which is just insane. Because two more goals for that line, a goal by Cooley and a goal by Kakko. So they continue to do well. Honestly, the bottom 6 and the third pair for the Rangers have been playing some very quality hockey overall. They just have been. I know the fourth line ends up a -1, but again, I thought in the limited action that they were in, I thought that they were fine. And then again, Jones and Schneider, they didn't make mistakes, and they were assets. I mean, Zach Jones is by far the best left-handed defenseman on this current team. Yes, he is. So for me, Mika Zibanejad is the main culprit here, but a close second, K'Andre Miller. My God. I mean, the turnovers that he has right in front of the net, and then just him and Trouba are out of position constantly. It is all the time where Trouba is caught up ice. Jacob, you're not exactly Bobby Orr offensively. So not really quite sure why you would be so far up the ice. Just stay back. That's as best as you can do. And K'Andre Miller, he is just a turnover machine. In the most unopportune situations, he doesn't really use his size much at all physically. And he's another one on these 2-on-1s. He's sliding. I mean, a lot of these Rangers defensemen do it. He's sliding down. What are you accomplishing? You're not really – there's no poke check. I've seen almost all the Ranger defensemen do this on 2-on-1s. They basically just take themselves out of the play, and that's led to goals against. It's bad enough as it is. It's not a man rush. At least try to make yourself useful in those situations. So for me, Zibanejad, Miller, Trouba, and then Ryan Lindgren as well. I'm not going to harp on Lindgren much in this game because he wasn't specifically awful, but he just doesn't look good at all. And these are a lot of the players that we had concerns about coming into the season, leaving the playoffs last year. If there's one defining moment of last year's playoffs, to me, and believe me, there's plenty of Jacob Trouba fuck-ups. I mean, that's just been a thing over time. But it's the Mika Zibanejad turnover in Game 4 overtime, trying to force the puck to Blake Wheeler, turning it over, thought it goes down the other way, and scores the game-winning goal. Or Is that how it went down? No, sorry. That wasn't. It caused Blake Wheeler to take a penalty, and then Sam Reinhart won on a power play goal. That's what it was. But that's something that, was a series-changing moment. And, it's interesting. With the Florida Panthers, they lose to the Vegas Golden Knights in 2023 in the Cup final. What do they do? And I know it's a long season. I get that. They respond by winning the Stanley Cup next year. Instead, our guys, this is going to be like 2023 all over again. You just know it. Where 2022, the Rangers make it to the conference final under Gerard Gallant, a really valiant effort. It falls short against Tampa. Then year one under Laviolette. They're doing the right things. They're playing the way you need to play. And it falls short against the Florida Panthers in the conference final. And I know the record's 9-4-1, and I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with a really good record at the end of the day. I wouldn't. 2023 ended up with a really good point total as well. But we know how that one ended. And I do think that while where you end up in the standings, that's not so much important come playoff time, but it is how you play over the course of the season. It is getting hot at the right time. There's no question about that. But just it seemed to be in 2022 and 2024, the Rangers were rewarded for, again, high quality play that transferred over to the playoffs for the most part. 2023, again, taking shortcuts. Some of the moves they made weren't great either. So for me, there just feels like there's a lot of parallels, and maybe I'm jumping the gun on that. And that's maybe a conversation for another day. But my God, Mika Zibanejad, it is highly concerning. It just is. He's a -4 in this game. Keandre Miller was a -4 as well. And I know Panarin and Lafreniere were -4s too, but I'm not going to go there. Look, when it comes to Panarin and Lafreniere, I think there's a lot more to be desired defensively. I've made that clear. I think Lafreniere, there is more to give in the defensive zone. But I can live with that. It's not overly egregious, and he's providing you really high-quality offense. Mika Zibanejad isn't. Not at all. Whiffing on one-timers, just can't handle a puck, can't make a pass, can't really do anything right. And would it shock me if, he's able to give you a 10 to 20 game stretch where he puts up big points? Yeah, he has it in him. But I think it's a combination of skills declining. The effort level, quite honestly, isn't really where it needs to be either. He was never someone that was overly physical, but this is a shell of his former self. This is someone that is really just getting worse and worse. And again, I don't think he's completely done forever, but this is the beginning of the decline. Maybe beginning is not even the right way to put it. It's already happened, and we're just witnessing it now. And 6 more years in his contract, including this season, that's scary. That's really, really a problem. How are the Rangers going to be able to overcome that? So, yeah, I'm very concerned about him. And then again, for the defensive pairs, we got to stop with Miller, Trouba, and Lindgren Fox. Be done with it already. It's not working. It didn't work. It didn't work at the end of last year. It's not working now. You got to give it up. And you know what? How about Victor Mancini coming back into the lineup and replacing one of Miller, Trouba, or Lindgren? Let it happen. Let it fucking happen once. Because quite honestly, what are you doing with Victor Mancini at this point? Part of the reason why I haven't made a big deal about it is because I'm happy that Zach Jones is in the lineup. But I'd like Mancini to be in as well. And they are going to be hard-pressed to scratch one of those 3 defensemen I just mentioned. But something's going to have to give, because it would be flat-out wrong for Zach Jones to be the one to sit out. And so that's kind of where we're at right here. Next game versus the Sharks, odds are Mancini's out again. Odds are Mika Zibanejad's on power play 1 again. And then that brings me to Peter Laviolette, who I like and who has a good pulse for the team. But you know what? The biggest problem that he had, which I discussed when he was hired, is deferring too much to veterans. He's good with young players, but it's just too much reliance on veterans. And he's not the first one, and he certainly won't be the last one. I think that this was an issue with David Quinn and Gerard Gallant, where this core kind of gets what they want. They just do. And for some of them, it's deserved. The body of work is enough that you can live with some of the struggles, but it's too much when you have young players that are showing promise. That's the combination of things. You have younger players in lesser roles that deserve to move up. And for some reason, Laviolette just refuses to make the changes he needs to. Because now I'm upset with him. You know what? It's the player's fault, but if you're going to continue to put them in these high leverage positions, don't be surprised when the results aren't good. So Winnipeg comes to Madison Square Garden. And look, the Rangers really were right in this game. This was a fairly even game. The big difference is the Rangers made just crucial mistakes, and Winnipeg was so good at taking advantage of them with ease. I mean, as soon as the Rangers slipped up, Winnipeg was able to take advantage. Igor Shesterkin, look, I mean, 5 goals is 5 goals. That's not good. But, like, this wasn't on him. This wasn't. And you know what? The other thing, too, although I guess I'm questioning it as I'm thinking about it. Rangers do seem to play a little bit of a better brand of hockey when Jonathan Quick is in that, but that's not, I mean, that Red Wing game the other night, like Quick stood on his head. So they didn't really play that well in that one. He was just unbelievably good. So Igor, look, it's one of those things where you wish that he could have made a big save here or there. He did make a bunch of good saves, but for me, like, he's not really a talking point in this game for me. Whereas, like, in that Buffalo game, a little bit of a different story. I thought the Rangers played like crap, but Igor wasn't good either. This one is different. Like, just these mistakes, like the chances that Winnipeg had, I don't know how you stop most of them. Maybe like the third goal, maybe that transition goal by Kyle Connor. Maybe that's one that Igor could have had back, but some of these other ones were just tap-ins in front. Like, what can you even do about it? So, again, lineup was the same. I really think that you need to switch Zibanejad and Trocheck, and that's being lenient. But I think that that's one that you kind of need to do. I was open to the idea of seeing what this could do, but Mika's bringing down Panarin and Lafreniere too much, and you're not getting enough from Trocheck with Kreider and Smith. I think that that's a quality line that I think, like, I could see that being a line that has success, but it's not worth it when you see what it's doing to the other line in the top 6. So Shesterkin against Connor Hellebuck. By the way, Winnipeg is the fastest team in NHL history to win 15 wins. Just, I mean, incredible. 15-1. For a team that has been pretty good in recent years, a team that has made the playoffs a good bunch, but I haven't viewed Winnipeg as a juggernaut. The last time that they really had a really good club was honestly like when Jacob Trouba was back on Winnipeg, like circa 2018? I think it might have been thereabouts. And so, yeah, I think to see them do this, and Scott Arniel is the head coach as well. It's kind of crazy. I mean, Arniel was an assistant coach of the Rangers under Alain Vigneault, and they just look really good. I mean, this isn't sustainable to this level, but clearly Winnipeg you got to take them very seriously when you're doing things like this. And they got a nice, well-rounded team. I mean, I would say Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor, like their core is really playing at a very high level right now. I still think that their defense, I look at them and I'm not overly impressed. Obviously, Josh Morrissey has become one of the best defensemen in the game. We know Neil Pionk, and, there's a lot of positives to his game and, negatives as well. But, Hellebuck, one of the best goalies in the league too. So they got the pieces for sure. And maybe they're going to take it to the next step this year and make a playoff run. So the Rangers were never able to have the lead in this game. They came back a couple of times. They were always in it, but not able to, to take the lead. And it starts out 57 seconds in. Mark Scheifele scores his 8th goal of the season from Josh Morrissey. And this is where Zibanejad turns it over. I'm not sure what he was trying to do exactly, but it ends up being a soft pass that Morrissey keeps in. And he finds an open Scheifele. And Keandre Miller, I think, was trying to be a little bit too aggressive, but Adam Fox was a little bit out of position as well. So it's a unit. I mean, Zibanejad kind of started it out, but Miller Fox, as much as I'd like to get them back together as a pair based on everything else, they've had their troubles together as well. So it's not as if, to me, that's not a perfect solution, but I think in terms of like a puzzle piece situation, those two make the most sense together. And then you kind of work your way from there. But I don't really love, not that Adam Fox has been anything amazing. He's been fine. And to me, he's, the least of the concerns on the back end. But like, I also don't love the idea of like kind of rewarding Miller by playing with Fox. But again, your left side options are very limited when you have Keandre Miller and Ryan Lindgren on it. That's the problem. So that makes it 1-0 Winnipeg. Then at 7:48, Josh Morrissey high sticks Jimmy Vesey, and the Rangers would not score on this power play. However, they would tie the game at 13:07, and it would be that Hedl line, a goal by Will Cooley, his 5th goal of the season from Schneider and Hedl. So a nice job of cycling the puck around, working the puck behind the net, using body control, just the way you need to do it, getting to the front. And it ends up with Schneider taking a shot. Hellebuck is unable to control the rebound, and Cooley just deposits it in, buries it right in front, and ties it up at 1. So that's the way you got to do it. And the Rangers are all tied up there. And then at 13:48, unfortunately, Vincent Trocheck with a holding penalty on Cole Perfetti. But the Rangers do kill that off. Now, keep in mind, Winnipeg has the number 1 power play unit in the league, and they would eventually cash in on it. And that would be in the second period. So we go to the second period, and at 7:20, Will Cooley holds Kyle Connor. Score is still tied at 1-1. And again, kind of an unnecessary penalty by Cooley. Same thing with Trocheck before. Like, it just, could you argue, was a little bit ticky-tack? Yeah, but also, like, you didn't need to do it. So at 8:58, the Winnipeg Jets score to make it 2-1. And it's a goal by Gabe Vilardi, his 7th goal of the season from Ehlers and Pionk on the power play. And what sucks is this wasn't a traditional power play goal. It was a bad turnover by Miller, which ends up leading to sloppiness all the way around. Fox is then unable to get the puck out, and Miller ends up cheating too far up. And it ends up in kind of a mini 2-on-0 even. A passing play back and forth between Vilardi, Ehlers, and back to Vilardi for an easy goal. Keandre Miller is the main culprit here. Completely, again, the bad turnover. And then he lets 2 players get behind him. You wish that Adam Fox could have gotten the puck out as well. Again, Fox deserves a little bit of blame here on a couple of these goals, but it's way more on Keandre Miller, and that makes it 2-1. But the Rangers do draw a power play. Panarin is tripped by Kyle Connor at 11:33, leading to a power play goal, as I mentioned earlier. It's Lafreniere's 6th goal of the season from Fox and Panarin at 12:51. And this was a situation where, and I noticed it as soon as it happened, Lafreniere replaces Zibanejad, and sure enough, Lafreniere snipes one home. Like, just unbelievable how that happens. But yet, the next power play opportunity, it would be Zibanejad, not Lafreniere. It's just zero accountability, and players that don't deserve to be in certain spots are there. So that ties it up at 2. And then Winnipeg takes the lead at 16:03 and would keep it. Kyle Connor scores his 10th goal of the season from Neil Pionk. This is a turnover by Mika Zibanejad in the offensive zone. Neil Pionk takes the puck, passes it to Kyle Connor. It's a 2-on-1 situation. And I believe Keandre Miller was the only one back. I think that Jacob Trouba was caught up ice, if I remember correctly, and Connor snipes it home. And maybe you'd want to have Igor. It was a great. Kyle Connor is one of the best shooters in the league. So that makes it 3-2. And, again, Zibanejad, just an awful, awful turnover. Just no words. So that makes it 3-2. And what really would have been big if they could have kept it tie going in the third. So now you're down 3-2. Winnipeg takes too many men on the ice penalty at 16:52, and the Rangers do nothing with it. And again, this is the power play I'm talking about, where who's on it? Zibanejad. I'm not surprised at all. Don't get me wrong. They're not going to make that switch for a long time. But they don't score on it. We go to the third period with Winnipeg up 3-2, and another early period goal for the Winnipeg Jets. At 1:08, Mark Scheifele scores his 9th goal of the season from DeMello and Connor, and Mika just loses the puck in the neutral zone. And then it ends up in a situation where it's really soft defense by Trouba and Miller, not even near the net. Trouba, I don't even know what he was doing there. Trouba was like too far up. Miller was the only one back, and he wasn't even close enough back. Again, that is a disaster defensive pair. But we're just going to continue to roll them out. So that makes it 4-2 on the Scheifele goal. His 2nd goal of the night. But the Rangers with a good response. 32 seconds later at 1:40 of the third, Kakko scores his 2nd goal of the season from Cooley and Schneider. Very similar to the Cooley goal. Schneider takes a shot from the right side. This one's deflected by Cooley, and Kakko is there to backhand it in to cut it to a 1-goal game again. 4-3 Winnipeg. But unfortunately, at 13:08, the Rangers get caught up ice, and former Ranger Vlad Namestnikov scores his 5th goal of the season, assisted by Nikolai Ehlers. What happens here was the fourth line that was on, but Jacob Trouba is just caught way up ice and ill-advised for sure, and Keandre Miller is the only one back. He decides to slide down, which takes him completely out of the play, and it takes a ricochet off the – so I think what ends up happening, I think it must have been Ehlers that took a shot that goes wide, and it takes a friendly bounce off the back wall, and Nemestikov just alone in front to just or I guess Nemestikov, I think he wrapped it around actually. But again, just pathetic, absolutely pathetic by the Miller-Trouba pair, and that makes it 5-3 Winnipeg. Dylan Sandberg would interfere with Vincent Trocheck at 13:52, but the Rangers don't score. And I think on that one, on that power play, Mika Zibanejad had a whiff on a one-time opportunity, just embarrassing. I should also mention that Zibanejad did leave the game briefly in the middle of the second period, a weird situation where he was about to take a face-off, but then something wasn't right, and he left the game probably for about 5 minutes of game time. So that should be noted. It's no excuse, but clearly something is very off with Zibanejad. They didn't exactly explain what it was, but apparently he's healthy. And then the Rangers pull the goalie, and with 20 seconds left, Kyle Connor scores his 2nd goal of the night, 11th of the season from Sandberg and Pionk to give Winnipeg a 6-3 win. So it's not as if the Rangers played poorly, to be honest with you. It was a pretty even type game. Rangers have played a lot worse lately. This is probably one of their better efforts. But again, individual mistakes, Zibanejad, Miller, Trouba, so on and so forth. And it doesn't stop there. But those, to me, are the main ones that really cost the Rangers in this game. So now they'll take on the San Jose Sharks. It'll be the return of Barclay Goodrow, and to a much lesser extent, Alex Wenberg, but Goodrow will get a nice little hand. San Jose, they are not a good team, but they've been pretty gritty lately. They've been getting points, getting wins, so Rangers should certainly not take them lightly. The Rangers lost to the San Jose Sharks last year, as a matter of fact. So, look, this is a game where Rangers really need to turn things around. The play has been way too sloppy, and we'll see what happens against the San Jose Sharks, because this could go from bad to worse real quick. And you don't want that to happen. So, again, the NHL-best Winnipeg Jets come to town, and they win again. They're now 15-1 on the season, and the Rangers lose by a score of 6-3 to the Winnipeg Jets at Madison Square Garden. And now the San Jose Sharks will come to town to take on the Rangers as they hope to clean this up.